So now we'll go into the general questions. We'll go through the speakers. First question for Marlou, if you're there. How do you know what the public's interests are?
I'm sorry, can you ask that again?
How do you know what the public's interests are? How do you know what the public is interested in when you're trying to figure out what you should say?
Well, I mean, I think that you have to sort of go like Drew was just talking about. I mean, you have to figure out what the messages are that you need to get out first. I mean, I think that really needs to be your first point. And then once you've identified what those messages are that you need, what are the issues that your stormwater are causing, or who's causing it to your stormwater, and then do some more analysis, figure out what those groups are, and if it's businesses, get some of those businesses together, try to get a round table and talk to them. And so I think, you know, it is the other way around. Figure out what you need to say, but then find representative audiences that you can talk to and say, who do you listen to? What do you read? And ask them and ask them.
All right, thanks. Wendy, a couple questions for you. One that a couple people asked, what were you trying to convey with the devil duck, and why was it controversial?
Well, the cute little yellow ducky was put on the lawn. It's kind of, if you don't see it, it's kind of hard to explain. And then, and the rubber ducky was representing fertilizer. And then it rained right away, and the yellow duckies turned into red devil ducks, and they all washed down into the storm drain in the commercial. So basically, we're trying to let people know that you have to be careful how much you put on and when you put it on, and that it does, a lot of it, make its way into the storm drain. That was the message. It became controversial because a lot of the commercial lawn care companies didn't like it, saying that it was going to ruin their business. And we happened to have a new administration in the state who is sympathetic to any business complaint at all. So, but because it was developed and supported by a statewide coalition, there wasn't anything they could do about it.
This gets to a question that another person asked. When you were talking with the lawn stores, did any of them object to the fertilizer stickers on the grounds that if they put up these stickers, it encouraged people to buy less fertilizer and that would hurt their bottom line?
We've talked to mostly the small mom and pop stores, and I think that in the long run, when you explain the big picture to them, they understand the importance of supporting the best management practices. And I think that they recognize, and so I guess my answer is no, we haven't received a lot of resistance. They recognize that doing the right thing is the best way to offer their product.
All right. And finally, do you have any tips for starting a new regional stormwater group? And in particular, does it have to be formally recognized for the partnership and reporting purposes?
I would say it definitely needs to be officially recognized by each member's administration. That's most important, because you need the support and the backing of that administration in order to really be a formalized group that really has a say. And I think one of the ways that made it easier for us to get started is we immediately started with a facilitator, so that she could make sure that we all were heard, everybody was heard at the beginning, and we developed our whole rules and all of those things that guided our guiding principles, basically.
All right. Thanks for that. And Matt, do you have comments on how to start these partnerships that you've also done?
Well, I would think, obviously just engaging the, engaging the other communities around you. They have the same goals that you do. They've got to meet the same regulations that you do, And obviously, if you can come together and find ways to do things as a group that allow you to save time and money in your individual community, then more times than not, people are all for that.
Great. And can you tell us a bit, how big is your stormwater budget or your stormwater staff, and what fraction of your stormwater resources do you devote to community education?
Yeah, we have 3 staff members within our watershed division that are managing our stormwater program. Our watershed division, we have a total budget probably of about $295,000 per year, with the majority of that being salaries. I would say probably 80% of that is salaries. And I don't have a specific education and outreach line item, but the biggest component of that is the time of the people that are involved, whether that's us writing articles or creating brochures or helping with our storm drain marking program. It's not necessarily the things we do. As I mentioned earlier, some of the brochures that we make are made using software that most everybody has readily available to them. Our city the newsletter articles are articles that we put in our newsletter that's already going out. So we really look for creative ways to get that information out there in the lowest cost that we can. But as far as a specific line item of how much exactly we dedicate to education and outreach, I don't have that number.
All right, that was just a general question. Let's move on to Drew. Drew, can you tell us how much of Philadelphia is CSO and how much is SSO? That's one question. And another is, how do you bill for impervious surfaces?
About 60% of the city's land area is served by combined sewers. And the city began with 3 distinct settlements, each of which initially had combined sewers. Well, when running water was introduced in 100 years after settlement, we had combined sewers, and so it grew from those 3 settlements until it all became one big area of combined sewers. And then the newer areas of the city on the fringe of those old original settlements, roughly 40% of the city has separate sewers.
And how does this billing work? Can you tell us a little bit about that new stormwater billing that's been so successful in getting people interested in their stormwater practices?
Yeah, we're using GIS to essentially look at every individual parcel. And so we've done it for the commercial properties and for the large properties, but not yet. And we've studied the residential properties, and for the meantime, we've just come up with a sort of an average imperviousness and area for our residential properties. But so we for the commercial and large property owners, we actually look at either plotted land use maps showing different surfaces, or we look at aerial photography. And so for each plot, we come up with we've had technicians look at each plot and to determine the percentage that's impervious. And now, with our green guide and with our incentive program, those customers can come back to us and say, okay, we'll put in a rain garden, we'll put in a green roof, and we'll reduce the percentage of imperviousness in order to reduce, and then we can reevaluate their charge. It took a number of years to develop this. Did not happen overnight.
All right. Well, we're on to our last slide here because our official closing time has come. We wanted to let you know about a few things that are coming up. WEF has a new Stormwater Report newsletter, which Matt mentioned. You can subscribe at wef.org/stormwater, as you see there. That's one thing. Another thing is that there have been a bunch of questions coming in to the tune of how do you measure all of this, and how do you measure the effectiveness of all of this in changing behavior? That is why we have another webcast coming up in September on the topic of measuring communications. And we have all of your email addresses, so we will email all of you about that when we have a precise date and time. And finally, we have a workshop coming up at WEFTech with the title Communications Camp, Tools to Engage, Motivate, and Reassure Your Community. That's being run by the Public Communications and Outreach Committee with people from the Public Communications and Outreach team, and especially people from the Pacific Northwest Member Association. So we encourage you to attend all of those. And then we can, I'm going to keep asking a couple of questions here. I know some people have to get off immediately, so you can consider yourself to have completed the webcast now. But I would like to ask a couple more of these questions to our speakers if they're still available and people are interested. So you're welcome to hang out.